Olá, aqui é Priscila Thompson, professora clássica, e hoje eu vim compartilhar com vocês uma leitura que teve um impacto gigantesco na minha prática em sala de aula como professora cristã clássica. E eu tenho a alegria de estar aqui com a Mandi Gerth, que é a autora deste livro que está sendo traduzido e lançado pela Clássica Press. E o título em português é Excelência e Encanto. Vou compartilhar com vocês um pouco de como eu conheci esse livro que foi tão precioso e que chegou num momento tão maravilhoso na minha vida. Ano passado eu estava lendo um artigo na Cersei Institute e eu conheci um pouco do trabalho da Mandi. Ela falava muito sobre liturgias em sala de aula, sobre o uso dos catecismos, a importância da imaginação. E tudo isso veio de encontro a mim no momento onde eu precisava muito gerir melhor a minha sala de aula, mas eu não tinha essas ferramentas clássicas da pedagogia cristã clássica. E quando eu li esse livro para apresentar durante a semana pedagógica na escola Virtus, eu me emocionei em vários momentos, porque a forma como a Mandi escreve é como um abraço. Ela consegue entender o que nós, professores, passamos em sala de aula, sempre nos questionando se o método que nós estamos usando é clássico, se estamos falando da melhor forma possível, fazendo o que seria mais adequado. E tudo isso foi um presente. E ter esse livro traduzido hoje para o português é uma alegria gigantesca e a minha oração é que abençoe a todos vocês. Então eu queria perguntar, quem é a Mandi Gerth?
I have been a teacher in a classical collaborative model school for a number of years. I have 5 children who've all been classically educated, and the reason why I decided to put my thoughts onto paper was because I was trying to myself figure out how to teach more classically and how to make sure that I was to my students the very best of the curriculum, the very best ideas of the tradition, and I wanted to make sure that my classroom was a place of flourishing, of life, where my students could see the wholeness of knowledge and that they had a natural curiosity for how things connected. And so that's really the reason why I started teaching and why I love classical education, is the way in which we are able to bring to our students a fullness and a wholeness of knowledge, the way that we want them to be lifelong learners, the way that we want them to be formed in a certain way so that they not only know lots of things, but they feel as though they have the ability to do something virtuous with that knowledge.
Eu queria que você explicasse para a gente a sua relação com a educação cristã clássica.
So my husband and I first discovered this movement, or this idea of a different way of educating students before we even had children. And when I was learning about it, I really felt as though it was the right way to educate children. And then later, when we had our own, we were living in a city where there were not very many classical Christian schools. And I was trying to do a lot of that work of providing that education for them after their normal school day. Mm-hmm. So we were doing a lot of family read-alouds, and we were going to museums, and we were having conversations around the dinner table. But at some point, it felt to me like they needed to be in a classical Christian school. So we moved to a larger city that had more options. And that's when I really understood what it meant to become a classical Christian teacher, because I started to collaborate with my children's school, which meant I was doing some homeschooling. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I started to understand what it meant to teach my children as students, to understand who they were and how they learned, and to get very comfortable and familiar with what my school was teaching my children so that I was able to continue the learning at home. And then when my youngest started first grade, there was a position available at their school. And that's when I actually stepped into the classroom and then wrestled with all of those conundrums about, well, now that I'm in charge and all of these children are coming to me for this education that is so valuable and so formative, I want to make sure that I'm doing the very best that I can, and that I'm loving the right things before them very openly.
Você pode explicar para a gente um pouco sobre o título do livro?
The title of the book in English is Thoroughness and Charm, and it comes from a prayer that I would recite with my first fifth grade classroom from St. Thomas Aquinas. And there's a line in that prayer where we are asking the Lord to give us the ability to express ourselves with thoroughness and charm. And to me, it was one of those ways that captures, in classical education, we want our students to have a complete knowledge, a fullness of knowledge that not only do they know, but they live. And then we want them to be able to express what they know through their lives and also with their words in a way that is winsome and charming and efficacious and contagious to the people around them.
Então, o que você espera que esse livro seja para o Brasil? Quais são as suas expectativas desse lançamento?
I have been very humbled by what is going on here in Brazil and honored to be a part of it. And I think my hope for this book would be that teachers who are coming into classical education and they feel as though they are not equipped and they do not know enough would find a friend on these pages who will help them grow and help them continue to learn the next thing without them feeling discouraged. And I want them to step into their classrooms with confidence and with joy. And I want them to wear in front of their students everything that they love about the curriculum they teach and the God that they worship in such a way that their students feel that love and desire to know more. I want their classrooms to change because the teachers have changed.
E a Mandi foi essa amiga que eu encontrei pela providência de Deus e é uma alegria tê-la aqui com a gente, agora o livro traduzido. Que Deus use esse livro como ferramenta para abençoar todos os professores clássicos no Brasil.